You're watching CHCO-TV's gavel-to-gavel coverage of the November 3rd, 2025 regular council meeting for the town of St. Andrews. I'm Florence Mitchell. In today's meeting under Communications, Council will announce confirmation of Bylaw 25-04 regulating the composition of Council to be approved by the Department of Local Government and changes processed by Elections New Brunswick. Under Finance and Administration, Councillor Heenan will move that Council approves the job description for the position of Clerk and Senior Administrator and appoints Chris McKinnon to the position effective October 20th. Councillor Heenan will also move that Council awards RFP 2025-11 for wharf inspection services with the recipient and amount to be determined. Under Economic Development, Business and Culture, Councillor Weir will move that Council grants leave for the second reading of Bylaw 25-05 imposing a special business improvement levy. Under Planning and Community Development, Councillor Harland will move that Council approves the relocation of the Charlotte County Seniors Resource Center to the current location of the St. Andrews Welcome Center, and to authorize the Chief Administrative Officer to enter into a Memorandum of Understanding for use of the facility. Under New Business, Council will select members to attend the Union of Municipalities of New Brunswick Harassment and Intimidation Symposium, taking place November 14th and 15th. Finally, Council will continue reviewing version 2 of the 2026 to 2029 budget. Now let's join Council at the W.C. O'Neill Arena Complex Council Chambers in St. Andrews.
Okay, Council, we're ready to start, and it's 6:31. We are at the W.C. O'Neill Arena Complex in the Council Chambers. It is Monday, November the 3rd, 2025. And we'll begin with recording of attendance. All are present. Mark Blanchard will be a little bit late, but he is coming. Mark Bennett is online, but all of us are here tonight, so thank you, Council. I wish to recognize that we are on the unceded traditional territory of the Beskotomakati people under the umbrella of the Lingwistigwe or the Maliseet people, because we're not yet recognized in Canada. Approval of the agenda. I need a motion first. Councillor Harland and seconder, Councillor Heenan. Any errors or omissions or additions? Councillor Weir?
Yes, we had something titled legislation in the Brunswick Local Governance Act.
Mr. Spear, we can add that on to new.
Yeah, this.
I just have to get my sheet. Can add it on to.
We could add it under administration, if you like, Your Worship, finance administration, or we can
Finance
add it at the end of the meeting under new business.
Or under new business, I think, under the, at the end of the meeting. Okay, so that would be the third thing that we have on the agenda. Councillor Weir. Legislation. Okay, Council, with that addition, do we have to add the addition? Like, do we have to motion on it?
There's a motion by Councillor Weir to add an item, so we need
Okay.
a seconder.
So we need a seconder. Councillor Bennett. Weir, Bennett. Any further discussion? You wanted to add something, Councillor Weir? You had your hand raised, no? Okay. All those in favor of accepting this addition, say aye. Aye. Contrary-minded? Carried. All right. Now we go back to the approval of the agenda with the addition as read, as added. And it was...
You've already got a mover and a second.
We've already got a mover and a
Just-
second, so we
just
just have
vote.
to vote on it. So all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Contrary-minded? Carried. All right. Disclosure of any conflict of interest, council? Not seeing any, we'll move on. Presentations, there are none tonight. So approval of the minutes, we'll do these like we do normally. We'll go through them very quickly. If you have anything, please add to them. So the approval of the minutes of the previous meeting, the first one is for the minutes of 25/10/20. Regular council meeting on Monday, October the 20th, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. So we need a mover. Councillor Heenan, seconder. Councillor Neal. Any errors or omissions, any additions? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Carried. Minutes of the 25/10/27 special meeting of council on Monday, October the 27th, 2025 at 6 p.m. I need a mover. Councillor Harland, seconder. Councillor Neal. Any further additions or errors or omissions? Okay, question. All those in favor say aye. Contrary minded? Oh, sorry. Did you disagree? Councillor Bennett came in late and I didn't hear it.
Oh,
You
I'm
agree?
good, thanks.
Thank you. Okay, carried. Oh, all opposed? Okay, now carried. All right. Then the last one is minutes of the 25/10/27 special meeting of council on Monday, October 27th, 2025 at 7 p.m. And I need a mover. Councillor Heenan, seconder. Councillor Gumashell. Any errors or omissions or additions? Okay, ready for the question? All those in favor say aye. Contrary minded? Carried. Okay, so that is done. Communications, the confirmation of composition of council updates. We have received confirmation of bylaw 25-04, composition of council bylaw, to be approved by the Department of the Local Government and, sorry, too many pages, and changes processed by Elections New Brunswick. So do we need anything to move or second? Okay, so then we've just received it, council, so letting you know that we are on the go there.
And there are copies of those confirmation letters in the package.
In the package, we got it in the package. Great, thank you, Mac. Staff report would be you. Mr. Spear, are you ready? Good.
And have my microphone on.
Good.
Council, Halloween has gone by and Remembrance Day is upon us next week. Please take time to go to the service at the Anglican Church or watch the service on CHCO. We are certainly grateful for all those who served and their families who have made sacrifices as well. On behalf of staff, I wish to thank Mayor and Council for their continued interest in sharing the ongoing initiatives of the town. In Council, the municipal plan process is ongoing as Council is meeting with the planners on November the 10th at 5 to workshop the current document and provide guidance on any amendments. It will also need eventually to go to PAC, plus a meeting of objections will be called at some point. Once Council is satisfied with their draft, a new zoning bylaw should be soon drafted and put out for public input, including public consultation sessions. It all hinges on when the municipal plan is ready to go for first reading, then the rest of the timeline can be established. On the agenda tonight is approval for the inspection services for the wharf in order for council to determine its condition and the urgency of some of the repairs to be completed. The analysis will be completed this fall with a final report expected in January. Council has also had opportunity to meet with staff of the Regional Development Corporation over the current funding and any changes in scope. There's unfortunately been a tremendous upswing in elected official abuse over the last few years. Within New Brunswick, several councillors and mayors have resigned their post, indicating that is one of the reasons. Consequently, the Union of Municipalities of New Brunswick, an association of elected officials, is hosting a symposium in November to assist current officials to deal with it and come up with strategies to help reduce the negativity surrounding local governments. Under administration, work continues on the 2026 budget. Staff have presented the document in its entirety to Council and the public over a few sessions, including in-depth review of the general operating fund. If there is time tonight, we will continue the review of the general capital items. The Prince of Wales widening project is nearly completed, including Canterbury Close, with ongoing work on finishing the shouldering underway as well as connections to homeowners' driveways. This has been slower than we hoped, but should be done within the next few days. The newsletter was sent out last week. It's full of information about services and pertinent information about various initiatives of the town. I realize many people have a no-flyer option with their mail delivery, so feel free to stop by Town Hall for a copy. The water bills were issued in October, due on December 22nd. We have again noticed a few accounts with unusually large consumptions, so we contacted the homeowners to alert them. Council had initiated a policy to aid homeowners who experience issues with their plumbing that cause extraordinarily high bills, so we have been passing that along to provide relief when warranted. The Heritage Board met in early October with the assistance of the Heritage Officer from the City of Fredericton to go over governance training and review a mock file to understand their role in the matter. Since the establishment of the board, there hasn't been a file that needed to be brought to their attention. This is positive news as it shows property owners are following best practices when working on their historic properties. Under services, it's been a busy month in operations as we completed the annual flushing of the water and sewer mains. Water mains are flushed by opening hydrants and allowing large volumes of water to flow for several minutes, which helps remove sediment and organic buildup that can occur in the water mains. This is standard practice for most water utilities and is required by the province. For the sewer lines, a vacuum truck is used to clean through the manholes, removing blockages such as grease, balls, and other debris. Because many homes still have roof downspouts, basement sub-pumps, and perimeter drains connected to the sanitary system, we often see an accumulation of non-typical materials in the line. Early this year, we had ordered a new tandem truck for use in public works. The chassis has been at the supplier for a few months as they installed the dump plow, sander, and rigging. The operation manager and public works supervisor have been able to go up to do a couple of inspections and provide advice on minor modifications, and delivery is expected over the next few weeks. The town and the Heather Curling Club had a scare as we determined a leak developed within the curling ice floor, but it was not visible. We only noticed it because of the loss of brine that circulates through the pipes that freeze the floor. It was a daunting task as everything was under the floor and potentially tearing up the cement seemed to be imminent. However, one of our suppliers put us in touch with the City of St. John, who has a crew dedicated to finding underground leaks. They came in and in less than 2 hours identified a small area where the leak should be. Staff were able to open up a small portion of the floor, identify the leak, repair it, and pour cement. As of the writing of this report, the floor is being cooled and ice will be installed again. Overall, the club may be 2 weeks behind from the curling schedule. The recreation manager has started senior activities again and had 741 participants spread over several activities. As a note, if one individual was involved in 4 activities, they would be counted as 4. In addition, in partnership with the elementary school, they have 37 students participating in Youth Connect. The fire chief is reminding anyone with a chimney to have it swept and inspected before the winter. The cause of most chimney fires, which can ultimately destroy a home, is from improper maintenance and the creosote catching fire. The chief also reports that the department had 137 calls to date, compared to 106 in the same period for 2024. In conclusion, as of writing of this report, a heavy rain, fueled partially by Hurricane Melissa, is heading our way. The winds are forecasted as strong, but hopefully did not lead to any damage. And there was a power interruption, I think, on Sunday morning, but it was brief from what I understand for residents in Sam Cook. Staff will have been on standby through the evening and possibly working, depending on the severity of the event. Over the last few years, we have been broadcasting the Remembrance Day service from the cenotaph, as for some, the church becomes overcrowded and prefer the downtown location. We plan on doing that again for this year. Before my next report, the Christmas activities will already have begun. Be sure to look on social media and bulletin boards for all the events. If available, we will send a flyer out as well. We wish to thank all the volunteers, including our manager of recreation, who organize, fundraise, and then help pull this off on an annual basis. Respectfully submitted, Chris Spear, Chief Administrative Officer.
Thank you, Mr. Spear, for a great report. Okay. Now we need to move for the staff reports to be accepted. I need a mover, Councillor Heenan, and a seconder, Councillor Harland.
I have a question.
Question?
Right page here. There's supposed to be a financial report in there. I can't find it.
Oh, it was prepared, so I apologize, we'll get it out. It was all set, I inspected it. For some reason, it didn't get added, apparently. Didn't notice till now. So it's done. He emailed it out to us, and we thought it got updated, but I guess not. So we'll get it out to council tomorrow.
Thank you, Mr. Spear. Okay. So now back to, we have a mover and a seconder. Any other errors or omissions? If not, ready for the question? All those in favor say aye. Contrary minded? Carried. So now we are on to the introduction, consideration, and passing of bylaws and motions. And the first committee is Finance and Administration with Councillor Heenan.
Thank you, Worship and Council. FA 251133, Clerk/Senior Administration Job Description. The background, Council, is that in 2019, the first standalone clerk position was established for the town of St. Andrews, and a job description was created. Over the last few years, the responsibilities have changed as the position has evolved. Staff has amended the original job description and requests council approve it by resolution. And the action is, Your Worship, that the council of the town of St. Andrews approves the job description for the clerk senior administrative position dated today, November the 3rd, 2025. And I so move.
Thank you, Councillor Heenan. Seconder? Councillor Neal, Deputy Mayor Neal. Any more discussion? Not seeing any. We'll move to the question. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye, Your Worship.
Contrary minded? Carried. Welcome, Mac. Officially now. You're
Well, it
part
will
of
be
the team.
official just in about 2 minutes, Your
Yes.
Worship.
As soon as we sign the papers.
Okay.
Carried. All right. Your next one, Councillor Heenan.
Thank you again. Is FA 251132, Appointment of Town Clerk for the Town of St. Andrews. The background reads, earlier this year, our clerk resigned to assume a position as CAO in Lunenburg, Nova Scotia, which council accepted on July the 22nd of 2025. After a nationwide search, Chris McKinnon has been hired to fill that role, effective October the 20th of 2025. Under Section 7, Bracket 1, Bracket of Local Governments Act, the council of every local government shall appoint a clerk, a treasurer, and an auditor. Consequently, council should do this by resolution. The action is motion that the council of the town of St. Andrews approves Mr. Chris McKinnon, Mac, effective October the 20th, 2025, to the position of town clerk as required under 71 Bracket 1 of Local Governance Act, at an annual salary within the pay scale set by council and under the terms on the employee contract for this position. Your worship, I so move.
I need a second. We need a seconder. Counselor Harland? Any further discussion, council? Not seeing any. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? Carried. Again, welcome, Mac.
And welcome,
Officially.
Mac. Officially.
All right, Counselor Heenan, your last motion.
Thank you, worship, again. Is FA 251134, award of the RFP 2025-11 Wharf Inspection Services. On September the 15th, 2025, Council did not award the tender for refurbishment of the wharf. Consequently, they decided to hire a consultant to initiate another full-scale analysis of the facility to review needed repairs and costs. An ad hoc committee consisting of Councillor Weir and Deputy Mayor Neal, as well as CAO, prepared RFP 2025-11, Wharf Inspection Services, which closed on October the 14th. After reviewing the submissions, the committee met with each proponent to clarify their methodology and their deliverables. The proponent's pricing is as follows. Dillon Consulting, $192,000 plus HST. Fundy Engineering, $99,863 plus HST. Jim Tech Consulting, $79,600 plus HST. The committee recommends that Fundy Engineering submission be accepted at the price of $99,863 plus HST. The action, your worship, is that the Council of the Town of St. Andrews award RFP 2025-11 Wharf Inspection Services to Fundy Engineering for $99,863 plus HST. I so move.
Thank you, Counselor Heenan. We need a seconder. Counselor Harland, thank you. Any further discussion, council? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye, your worship.
Contrary minded? Carried. Thank you, Counselor Heenan.
Your worship, just if you don't mind me, just to let the public know that 70% of that cost will still be covered by the funding for the wharf. So it's not completely coming out of the taxpayers' pocket.
Thank you very much, Counselor Spear. Oh, sorry, Counselor Harlan.
Sorry, I was a little slow in getting my hand up. So can we just confirm the timeline? So they will be able to do the inspection this fall, what's remaining of the fall, and they'll have a report to us by January. Is that correct?
That is the plan. We'll get in touch with them tomorrow to reconfirm, but we've talked to them last week, and that was still the plan for all the various proponents to have it done. Most of them booked the diving services just to be in line.
Okay.
Thank you, Council. Mr. Spear, is that okay, Counselor Howland? Then
Yep.
we'll continue on. There's nothing for the Public Works, so we're on to Economic Development, Business, and Culture Committee, and Counselor Weir.
Thank you, Your Worship. Reference number EBC 251106, October 29, 2025. Second reading, bylaw 25-05, a bylaw of the Town of St. Andrews to impose a special business improvement levy. Background: Council approved first reading of bylaw 25-05, a bylaw of the Town of St. Andrews to impose a special business improvement levy on October 20th. Staff recommends a second reading at this time. A public hearing of objections is scheduled for Monday, November 17th at 6:15 p.m. to be held at the W.C. O'Neill Arena Council Chambers. The motion is that the Council of the Town of St. Andrews grants leave for the second reading of bylaw 25-05, a bylaw of the Town of St. Andrews to impose a special business improvement levy. I so move.
Seconder? Councillor Heenan, sorry, I missed it, missed your hand. Councillor Heenan. Any further discussion, council? Seeing none, we'll go for the question. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Contrary minded? Carried. Next one, Councillor Harlan, it's yours. Yeah. Planning Community Development Committee, Councillor Harlan.
Thank you, Mayor Akaji. So this is reference number PCD 251103, and the subject is Charlotte County Seniors Resource Center relocation request. And the background is as follows. The Charlotte County Seniors Resource Center is currently located behind the St. Andrews Wellness Center at the W.C. O'Neill Arena. On October 20th, Council approved a renovation of the Wellness Center, which will utilize the current space occupied by Charlotte County Seniors Resource. The resource manager, Emma Keach, has requested moving Charlotte County Seniors Resources to the current location of the St. Andrews Welcome Center, which is Unit 5 at the W.C. O'Neill Arena. This will allow them to remain in St. Andrews and facilitate the growing number of registered clients. The motion is as follows: that the council approve the relocation of the Charlotte County Seniors Resource Center to the current location of the St. Andrews Welcome Center, 24 Reed Avenue, Unit 5, with the exception of the office provided to the Royal Canadian Legion Branch Number 8, and to authorize the CAO to enter into a memorandum of understanding with the Charlotte County Seniors Resource Center for the use of this facility as of April the 1st, 2026. Can I add that?
Until April.
I would keep this motion as is and then make an amendment after.
Okay.
Okay.
And I so move.
Thank you. Seconder? Councillor Bennett? Thank you, Councillor Bennett. Any further discussion? All right, so,
So I'm
sorry.
So I'd like to make an amendment to my own motion, which is that we keep their current lease in place until April 1st of 2026, at which time they can then negotiate with the funders for an increase in rental space. So they would move before then, but we would keep their lease as is and then renegotiate it with them at the end of March, because they are funded. It's a project funded service, so they need to go back to their funders.
Okay, thank you. We need a seconder, Councillor Neal. Oh, Deputy Mayor Neal, sorry. Forget. Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Contrary minded? Carried. So now we go back to the original motion by Councillor Harlan and Councillor Bennett. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Carried. Opposed? Nobody. Carried. Thank you very much, Councillor Harland.
Thank you.
You're welcome. New business. Oh, yeah, new business, right? We have number 1, the UMNB Harassment and Intimidation Symposium for municipal elected officials at the Fredericton Convention Center, Friday and Saturday, November the 14th and 15th. Up to 3 may attend. We're looking for availability and interest. Any councillors interested? I know that Deputy Mayor Neal is. Are you, Councillor Harlan?
I would really love to attend, but it's just before I leave.
Okay. Anybody else? I am interested in going, so that's 2. haven't checked. Miss Counselor Bennett, no. Counselor Weir, no. Counselor Gumshell, no. And Counselor Heenan, no. You're working. Okay, so there are 2 available to go, unless Counselor Blanchard wants to go as well. He's not here tonight, and he should be asked.
Staff will follow up with Councillor Blanchard. There's no need for a motion or anything.
I know, just the name, so
just
you've
the
got
name, so-
Deputy Mayor Neil and myself, who will go.
Mr. McKinnon will look after it from moving it forward.
Sorry? I missed what you mumbled.
He said I'll take care of it from here.
Thank you, Mac. Got that. All right, thank you. Number 2 is the budget version number 2, a continuation of the 2026-2029 budget review, which we started on October 27th. It's yours, Mr. Spear.
Thank you, Worship. So, Council, we've already gone through this capital budget somewhat, I guess, a few weeks ago, well, a couple of weeks ago. And so I prefer not to have to go through each individual one, but maybe I'll just list them and as we go through to give the public an idea of what's on the table right now for next year. And if you have any concerns or any further questions, let us go. Although the first one is the Zamboni. So we had written in our notes that there was 2 options, a propane-powered one, which we currently have, which even the salesman says gives a better life, in his opinion, because if we're going for 20 years. But Councillor Blanchard was interested in looking at the electric. So would you like us to bump that budget up to the cost of the electric and then do a little further analysis later, or?
Roughly, what's the difference?
I think it was 223, I forgot my notes, but I think it was 223 for the
$223.
electric.
Counselor
Sorry.
Heenan?
Go ahead.
Counselor Heenan? Counselor
I was just going to
Deputy
say,
Mayor
it
Neal?
was a considerably higher cost, and if I remember, it was, the lifespan was estimated at about half of what the propane was.
That was the concern, that the battery would die out, and for electric vehicles, they tend to be half the cost of the machinery. There definitely would be savings in costs and stuff moving forward to that point, but the cost of running the Zamboni is relatively cheap, a couple of $1,000s a year or less, so it wouldn't make up the difference. But if we don't put an allowance in for it, well, I mean, we can still, it's not a super big item, but I can leave it there, and if, when we get closer to approval, if Councillor Blanchard wants to look at that and staff can revisit it, see if we can just do a little bit of an analysis.
Counselor Heenan?
Yes, Your Worship. I just have a feeling, like I've seen the way the electric Zamboni works at certain places, and it just dies sometimes, and they have to always revert back to the old one. I've seen that a couple of times. I do totally appreciate Councillor Blanchard's effort on this. I just feel for the additional $70,000 of a cost and a less of a lifespan, that I would support the propane this time around. I believe that electric Zambonis, electric everything is going to get better with time. If I was around, I wouldn't be opposed to getting one in, say, 10 years. But right at this time, I think for our reasoning that we can in-service it ourselves here, we have a mechanic on duty. I think that it's really justifiably financial responsibility to buy the propane one. That's just my opinion, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Counselor Heenan. Any other statements? Okay,
Okay, so then we have 3 additional Scott Air Packs for the fire department. An upgrade to the ladder truck. We're replacing portable pumps for 2 units. I believe that was for the fire department as well. Then the next one is the Holder machine, to replace the 2015 Holder machine sidewalk. It's $280,000 is the going price for a sidewalk machine now. Is there anyone with any concerns about that?
No. What will happen to the old Holder?
They may keep it as a very, on backup, because there's not much of a trade-in value on those.
So I wondered.
But it can't be used for parts because we don't have a second Holder anywhere.
No.
So maybe, again, it's going to be close to a year before, if we order it if council approves the budget and we order it early in the year, it'll be a while before we get it. So over the summer, the council, after the election, will provide them the two options. Here's what it is, and it could end up just in the junkyard, to be honest, or the dealer might take it back for parts, buy it
That's
back
true.
for parts for other holders that are in the area. There are a few of them.
Thank you, Mr. Spear. Continue.
Okay, then we jump to page 73, it's way down towards the bottom. So we've got a lot of paving to be done this year. So we talked about Crestwood Lane, that it needs to be completely down to gravel and upgraded. Prince of Wales Street up by the Algonquin, where we put in the new infrastructure this year for 120. Then we're going to replace, put concrete sidewalks on Water Street between Princess Royal and Patrick for 160,000. As a reminder, if we borrow for some of the stuff, well, even if we don't borrow, that when it comes to taxation, because it's local infrastructure, it's considered only on the taxpayers of the St. Andrews ward, the Bayside and Shamcook taxpayers don't have to participate in that. And Mr. Acton said if you want to do it in 2 or 3 phases, that could be done too.
Did you have a question?
Remind us again why we're switching back from asphalt back to concrete. Again, is it just the durability of it, like based on
Durability,
the
cost. There once upon a time, asphalt was a lot cheaper,
Yeah.
but it isn't anymore. Primarily because it's tied into the cost of oil. But what we find is, because asphalt is one laid, like a road, well, when it starts to twist and turn,
Yeah.
the whole thing is gone. Well, here, of course, there's breaks in between the slabs, and so you might lose a couple of slabs that you have to replace, but not a whole block. Is primarily why.
Thank you.
So we'll leave that in as is for now. Okay. Then additional asphalt along Mary Street, Harriet and Mary, and Cemetery and Harriet. Then we jump to buildings and structures, all the way to page 76.
Okay.
So we're going to, at Chandler Lane near one of the boat ramps, we want to add some armor stone because the wooden seawall is dilapidating. The Rossman Museum, the front steps, they're wide, they're concrete, and they're crumbling apart. We've tried to fix them. We can still patch them. The ironwork that's there that should be original to the house would be removed and put back on the new steps. But they feel for safety purposes, it's probably best to replace them at this point. The age-friendly committee is always 10,000. I'm going to just jump. So one of the things is the youth center needs a replacement heat pump for 25,000. The Bayside Community Hall, replace 18 windows for 30,000. We're starting our replacement of the street benches. I will say, I think it'd be good to leave it in the budget, but I also think that if we put out notice that people can go through the memorial bench program again, we'll probably get a lot of support for that.
Okay.
So I'd recommend leaving it there, but staff will start up that program over the winter and be able to hopefully get most of it covered. Then there's been a request that we add more garbage receptacles to the downtown core, that they get filled up quickly, especially on market day. Now, the upgrade to the lobby washrooms. If you remember earlier tonight, Council, you approved moving the Seniors Resource Center over to their space. So that space is not going to be Welcome Center. There's options where we can put the Welcome Center, but one of the things we talked about in the past was using the Tourism Development Fund to fund that. But we're going to see further down that that money's probably going to be all spoken for parking. So that arena money's going to come right out of, taxpayers and debt and stuff, if everyone's okay with that. They're in rough shape, and if you remember, there's a water leak early in the hockey season last year. They had to tear a bunch of stuff down, so it'd be good to give it some TLC. And as discussed before, Public Works will do as much work as they can, with the exception of the plumbing.
Just to be clear, that's not just solely a nice-to-have thing. We just want to upgrade the washrooms, but it's actually, they are in disrepair, so.
They're original, so
Yeah.
they're really bad shape. They look bad. They're kind of embarrassing. We have tournaments and stuff here. It'd be good to have, even if it's not for the Visitor Information Center, it'd still be good to have for the various things. You think about the Heather Curling Club has some major events going on there through the year, plus 5 tournaments scheduled so far. So it's time to give it an upgrade. But it won't be over this winter, so if approved, it'd be in the spring.
Right.
Then jumping to the bottom of page 33, just because I didn't know, I've put $1 million aside for the pier head and square refurbishment. We're still waiting on information for that. Most of that's borrowed anyway, and then we're still counting on the funding to be approved for that once we have a better idea of what we want to do. So that's for further discussion, but it is in the capital budget so we know it's there. Because if we carry it out, it'll have a big effect on borrowing and things. The wharf float, or docks, we have to do some work on our docks down below for $35,000. Then I have $200,000 for the NBCC apartment. I think maybe we just leave that as housing development. There's a couple of developers that might want a little bit of assistance that you may or may not want to use. And so instead of just saying it's earmarked for NBCC, we just say it's development, knowing NBCC I think is still a priority of this council, but as you can tell, it's been moving slow. So we'll have to see where that is, and there's still hope we can find some partners. As a matter of, just for people to know that might have missed the earlier meeting, we do have refurbishment of the Shamcook Dam, not planning on doing it till 27 and 28. The Gemtech, who was the engineer that put together the large document, the engineering document that's been forwarded to you, is actually willing to come to council to discuss that report at some point. I'm sure council will be very interested. We just have to find a time that's
Convenient.
good for everybody. Yeah, good for everybody. And I didn't know if it could be after Christmas, or if people are more interested in having it sooner rather than later. It's at your discretion. But we were looking at the meetings today, and we've got lots filling up our schedule. We should need the final Monday in November, unless the budget still hasn't passed. But we could add to that if needed. So one item that we're calling in a new request is the youth center is looking to do some upgrades to their outdoor area. So if you're looking at the building from the parking lot, it's on the left-hand side behind the fence, and it's about $35,000 they're requesting. Now, there's 2 big parking lot items here, and there's a third one that didn't make the budget, but we should have a look at. So right now, and we talked about this earlier, that if we were going to pave, like reshape and pave a trail off of the Queen Street extension and then closer to the trail, it's about $375,000, $400,000. And that's an engineering estimate. That's asphalt the whole way too. We talked about possibly gravel with a small asphalt pad, but that's there. But the big one is that the Legion parking lot is $468,000 is the engineering estimate to redo that. Right now, I'd have to look, but I'm gonna say, under the current thing, it's probably only pick up 15 or 20 cars. If we fill in the ditches, pave it all, properly mark it, we're estimating between 48 and 50 parking stalls could be in there, which would be a big relief in the downtown parking. And that's $468,000, the estimate. What we're saying is that would probably use up most of the TALB money, so it wouldn't be financed by taxpayer money, but it would use up almost all of the money within the town's portion of the tourism accommodation levy. But we believe there could be a discussion over the winter on that, and so I'd be tempted is to take out the Queen Street extension, just leave the other, knowing that's all we can afford, and then council can decide over the winter if they want to finance the other. Again, from the province's point of view, operations budget is the big one. We always do the capital because it has an effect on everything. But we can still discuss capital budget items over the winter after we've passed the budget. We'd have to look for new sources, whether it's reserves or borrowing, but we can do that into the new year for sure. We don't have to make a decision right at budget time.
Question from Councillor Heenan.
Yeah.
Mr. Spear, I really feel that if we pay the $500,000, I'm rounding it up, for the Legion parking lot, I think we're going to be doing well for one of our years. I think that that's going to alleviate a lot of issues right at the moment. I'm really not for investing a whole $1 million in parking, but I really like the Legion parking lot, and as I say, that's my first priority. But I just think that, you know, as you say, we can discuss later through the year. But for putting it in the budget, I think I would take the 375 out. But that's just my opinion. Thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Of course.
How many parking spots are you going to get at the Queen Street extension?
I think it was 20 or less.
Or less?
It wasn't, yeah, it
I
wasn't
think
much
it's less
because
than that, isn't it?
I'd have to go back and look, to
Okay,
be
so
honest.
it's
But
a
it wasn't
lot less
It was a lot less.
than the Legion parking lot.
Yeah.
But we haven't inherited the Legion parking lot yet.
We have and we haven't. It's just about, they had a lease with a proponent that runs out at the end of this, ran out on
Yesterday,
Halloween
on
night.
Halloween night,
So
so-
it should be finalized this week.
Okay, thank you. Sorry. Councillor Weir?
I got down.
Oh, okay.
Tomorrow night, we might get some indication from Mr. Kearney about infrastructure spending. The feeling amongst the economists in Canada is that it will be an austerity budget with the reduction in current expenditures, but an increase in infrastructure spending. So there may very well be programs in there that will dramatically affect our capital expenditures.
Yeah, that's the hope, because between the dam and really one of our water towers should be replaced soon. And, what's our third one? And anyway, we have lots of applications to put out for sure. And even the point isn't an immediate concern, but over the next decade, we're gonna have to look at raising that and doing something out there too. So thank you, Councillor Ware, that's an excellent point and excellent news.
Thank you.
I would support the same approach with regards to the parking that Councillor Heenan pointed out. Again, I can't see us spending almost $1 million in the one budget year.
Okay.
So again, the Legion lot is our most bang for the buck there as far as cost per parking spot. So I would be fine with removing the Queen Street one as well. Again, if we gain 50 spots in 1 year, I'd like to see what that does as far as alleviating some of the parking.
Downtown. Excellent, Deputy Mayor. Anybody else? Chime in now. Okay, Mr. Spear, continue.
So council, I guess everything else there is before you. It's all less than $5,000. It's mostly miscellaneous equipment for various departments. Is there anything in the remainder of that list that you have a question about? Councillor Heenan?
Hey, what about the street sweeper? It's from 1970, isn't it?
It is, and
Going strong.
it's, I think if I remember, in his analysis, Mr. Acton said they could hold off for another year.
Okay.
So it was included in 2027. Let's have a quick look to
Yeah.
verify that.
It's just that I worry that all our capital equipment's going to fail all at once. If we take care of the Zamboni this year, and we've got the new truck coming this year, we're doing pretty good, because as I say, the cupboard was empty when this council took over as far as equipment was concerned. So now we seem to have acquired and worked diligently on getting a fire truck, two new trucks in the town, a leased vehicle for the manager. And I mean, we've done exceptionally well. And it's just that I don't like seeing a cupboard be empty because councils beforehand did not, and I'm not saying that negatively, I'm just saying did not do their due diligence in keeping up with the equipment. So I'm very pleased with this council that we've been able to undertake new equipment. And as I say, the Zamboni and the washrooms in the lobby here are very pertinent for our PR and for our town's reputation. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Heenan.
I do see it's in there for 2027.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So I do want to correct one thing, though, Councillor Heenan. You make a good point. You guys inherited a lot of old equipment, but previous councils have done pretty good in the last couple of cycles. Without calling up too many names, when I first started, things were a little rough, and there's a little bit of catching up to do my first 15 years here. But probably for the last decade, they've been generous, and we've built up our inventory and public works to provide better services. You know, that the people in St. Andrews appreciate clean streets after, or, you know, snow-free streets a few hours after a storm, and sidewalks, etc.
That has a lot to do
I'd
with
save all our important equipment, and when Terry sees this, he'll scream at me, but nonetheless, the sweeper is extremely important, but I wouldn't say it's of our very top needed equipment. If that was something to go, that'd be the easiest thing to figure out what to do. In the really old days, they swept by hand, which was
That's right.
terrible. I wouldn't say to go there, but it's easier to hire out. You can hire out units to do it, or, you know, if something really bad happened, one of our sidewalk machines already has a little sweeping unit on it. It's not fantastic. If you've seen it, it just blows up a storm, so we don't tend to run it in the downtown because it's just sweeping fast and making a lot of dust. But we can make do. But I think we'll have a hard look and try to look. It's one of those things, we use it a fair amount, but it probably only gets used 10% of the time. So I think there's got to be discussion. It's one of those things that the RSC should own and loan it out, frankly.
Yeah.
Sorry, Terry. Sorry, Hollis. But nonetheless, it's just one of those shared items. It's just no one municipality uses it enough to own it outright. On the flip, and even as Councillor Neal pointed out, he has it in 2027, but it's still an 8 or 10-year-old machine, I believe. It's not brand new, so it's.
good mechanic.
Yep.
Thank you.
So on the next page, page 81, the bigger item is they'd like to basically, we've talked about, increase the size of one of the bays in Public Works just on the ceiling, or sorry, on the garage door is make it higher for 15. One thing that's being asked to get council's input on is the youth center would like to upgrade their skate park, so there's a huge community effort, probably 13 or 14 years ago, I believe. Councillor Gumashall may remember better than I, to build the current park as it is. We had wooden ramps and stuff, and then there's a whole process where there was fundraising and stuff, and the community was generous. But it's been the same equipment since then. They'd like to upgrade some of it or add to it to the tune of $54,500 is the estimate. And that's when we could go for more fundraising, or you could approve it and ask us to go fundraise and see what happens. I just want to bring it to your attention if there's any thoughts on how you'd like to handle that?
Counselor Heenan?
Me again. The youth is our center. So I believe that anything we can do to encourage the youth staying here and then coming here is really important. They are our future, and so I would leave it in there simply because I would expect them to do fundraising. I really would, but I mean, it's nice to at least have it accounted for. Thanks.
Thank you, Counselor Heenan. Anyone else? Counselor Harland? Oh, Counselor Gumashall?
Yeah, I'm not sure it's fair to ask them to have to do a ton of fundraising. They already did quite a bit in the past, and there's lots of other things going through here that we're not asking people to raise funds for, so I'm not sure why we should be asking the youth. They've had that center for a long time, or the existing, and it's well used, so a slight investment in that I don't think is ill-timed or ill-conceived, so I'd say give it to them without having them have to fundraise. Thanks.
Thank you, Counselor Gumashall. Counselor Harland?
I concur with Councillor Gumashall. I think that this is a small investment in that facility. I would like to see us have it in the budget going forward.
Thank you, Counselor Harland.
Can we leave it in there, and again, would there
Review
be
it?
some funding options there we can pursue?
Always funding options to
There's
pursue.
always
We've had some
recreation grants
great,
available, and
yeah, no, for sure. I will say that further to Councillor Gumashall is I think in the first version of the ramp, or the park, they almost exclusively raised all the money themselves, and the town had to put minimally into it.
Yeah.
It's probably $70,000 or $80,000, I believe. The big one was, well, we talked TSN, one of those big things
Yeah, they
had.
did.
Yeah.
Okay.
So one thing that's not in this budget but has been presented to council is pickleball.
Oh,
The
yes.
pickleball things. I sent you a copy of a further email. So I guess with council's permission, it probably should be added in the version 3, at least for discussion, how you'd like to proceed with it. It just because,
Counselor Weir?
I've been having a hard time getting a
is it on? Is your mic on, Councilor?
I've been having a bit of a hard time getting the numbers involved. They say they have 18 to 20 people out. They don't say whether it's the same 18 to 20 or if there's 100 people involved and they show up sporadically. But if it's only 18 to 20 people, then, you know, that's a fairly small percentage of the population to be spending, I don't know what you call substantial, but any large amount of money on. And not that they're not important and deserving and everything, but it comes down to how many people do you have to have a group? Is a group of 5 enough? You know, there's got to be the numbers to justify it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
For me, I know they sent us a cost comparison of some different options in different communities, but I'd rather see some cost estimates around the 3 options they provided us. Again, so we can at least have those when it comes time to discuss them. And again, you know, it's the type of thing I think, again, we could be looking for some recreational grant money for that.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Mr. Spear?
And so that's about it for proposed capital projects with a budget of about 3.8 million, although there's a couple of cuts made here tonight. Just for the public's consideration, there's one new item which you've heard about, local government financial reform. And so we're starting this year, or 2026, we'll be getting $250,000 towards capital renewal of items. and actually I sent out, my 5-year projection is way off. They sent out a projection for the future years. I emailed the council, I think yesterday, and it's increased substantially, like almost doubles every year. So, I'll add that in the budget, but that makes life so much easier. And so, but on top of our donations and grants and significant money from capital reserve with its balance right now, the tourism development fund, which we're talking. So, new debt doesn't go up significantly, that we're talking in 2026. And again, we kind of look at this towards the end of the year. But new debt, we're looking at about $320,000 for next year if needed, depending. And so our repayment goes from about 4% at the end of this year to about 4.7% at the end of next year if all the projects go through as presented. So still well below the 10% is kind of the earmark of as high as they could go. Okay, are we able to continue through the utility operating fund and capital? We're just about working our ways towards the end of this round. So I didn't make a note, so it's page 84, and I didn't make a note on this, but we talked about it in a previous version. So version 1, I had the second year surplus, prior year surplus down at the bottom as an expense, so I've moved that up. So that's why there's a square box around that in operations. Everything else is about the same in the utility operating budget. On page 88, sorry, jumped way ahead. And I'm sorry to jump, folks, for those watching. We did go through this more in depth a few weeks ago, so we're just touching on any changes and highlights. Was I had made a mistake on the sewer debenture principal. We'd accidentally picked up the interest twice, so we had to add that into it. So correct that. So that's about the only changes. As always, we try to show, not try, we need to show a break-even budget. So in our proposed capital projects for next year, the big one is to replace the asbestos water main, it's concrete asbestos, from Cemetery Road to Champlain Dead End. Again, our manager said that could be done in 2 years if council prefers. But that's there. We're continuing our residential meters. That's a little high. We've had it at that level for a few years, so I'll double check with staff this week to see if it still needs to be at that high level. We might be able to reduce that some. The valve install, that was water coming from the lake outside the building, so we could shut off water for $60,000, shut off water to the facility. We talked about the diffusers for $150,000. Those are what make the water bubble at the lagoon. And then, yeah, everything else is the only other biggish items is replacing a water pump at the water treatment facility for $23,000, the sewer lagoon replacing air hoses, which go into the sewage lagoon for $15,000. So our total capital budget, primarily because of Champlain Avenue, is about $1.226 million, of which $640,000 is new debt. And the last few pages looks all the debt, but our debt servicing ratio stays at around 22% for the next couple of years. That our water revenues taking a pretty good jump, and there should be a discussion probably. We haven't really had, council's given me the permission to, in our bylaw, to increase water rates by 2% per annum without coming back to council, but there may have to be a discussion because construction costs have gone up so much about increasing water rates at some point. And Councillor Goum-Michel reminded me that we'd had enough, we had a consultant who came in and did a 5-year plan on water rates a few years ago now. It's quite a few years ago. And it may be time to revisit bringing somebody like that in again. We don't have it in the budget, but it might be something for 2027. We'll have had our consumption history now for 2 or 3 cycles, 2 or 3 years by that point, and to revisit our water rates. And in a time of tough times, the timing isn't great to raise it up. But at some point, our water rates are still some of the lowest, and if we're gonna replace this infrastructure, it's gonna be paid somehow, and it can't be out of tax revenue. So that's all I have to present for tonight, Your Worship. We'll make some changes and start looking at the tax rates. Again, right now, the warrant stays the same. So I've used the previous year's tax rates, which from a couple of the budgets, like Fredericton and St. John, I think have just maintained theirs. St. John might have lowered theirs,
Yes,
actually.
Councillor Weir?
Yes, something that hasn't come up is the allocation of the administration costs to the wards versus the town, or the whole town. Last year, I think it was 33% went to the wards. The informal study that was done indicated it should have been 20%. So we were over-allocated about 67% more than we should have been. And I'm just wondering if we can't look, or it's a separate item, but it's not a separate item, whether we should be looking at what percentages are going to be used this year on what departments and that type of thing.
No, absolutely. So that'll be when we get into the tax rate discussions. We started this discussion back in May, I think, maybe March, and we went through there. Then council kind of agreed. I presented it, and we didn't get a lot of feedback. So I said, well, at the budget time, which you agreed to, I asked earlier, why don't we get through the numbers so it'll be easier to see what the actual effect is. But I think we should go through that exercise. Now that we have the budget, we can see as the allocation goes how it's going to affect either department, or either, tax unit. So that's certainly on my list. And it's built into the spreadsheet. We just have to relook at it to make sure it's balancing and what's appropriate.
Yeah, I guess I was just wondering, it's sort of a standalone item in one way.
It is, but that's the next step. If right now everyone's okay with the budget as presented with some discussions, so next will be that part of it. It hasn't left my mind, not even a little bit. And so now that we're there, we can take that next step to see how you want to handle the tax rates, including the allocation of shared costs between the two units. And the units are, although we have 3 wards, Bayside and Shamcook are treated as one tax unit currently. And then the St. Andrews ward is all by itself.
So when are you anticipating that discussion happening?
Well, I think we can do the initial analysis this week. If not next week, the 10th, although that's a really full agenda now. We'll probably bring it forward for next week. The budget's kind of there, so we'll bring forward our analysis and start the discussion.
Okay.
And then carry on from there. I mean, it's only a handful of units that, administration's one, recreation, stuff, but like policing and garbage, there may be discussion, but it's fairly straightforward. The allocation of the RSC costs are fairly straightforward. So there's only a handful of departments that are going to be, like, in my opinion, council may disagree, that are really up for discussion, or at least there's going to be differences of opinion among councillors about what's the appropriate allocation.
Thank you, Mr. Spear. Anything else, council? Nothing else?
Thank you, council, so we'll continue with that.
Okay. So now, Councillor Weir, we are in the new business, and we are at the point that you brought forward.
And Councillor Weir, is this something that should go to closed, or is it okay to stay in open? Okay.
As most of you know, I've been continuing to work on the legislation and that type of thing. And I have tied it down that the legislation does require that there be a permanent record maintained by the clerk of all conflicts of interest, filed on an appropriate form. I thought I printed it. I can stop for a second and read my computer screen. it would be Form 3. And that Form 3 has to be filed with the commission as they come in. To the best of my knowledge, that's not happening, because I stepped out once on conflict of interest, and I didn't file a Form 3. And they don't have to be filed ahead of time. They can be filed after the fact, as long as it's done in a reasonably expedient manner. So, I think the act is there, and we should be following it. From what I gather, the majority of municipalities are. None of my business who is and who isn't, so I only sit on one council, so that's the one I'm concerned about.
Yeah, and I'd say it's fair to say there are some, I looked at the records of the prior clerk, and there's quite a few there. I can't speak beyond what I see, but I have to follow up the commission to see if they're filed. But I'd say it's probably, especially since in between, I'd forgotten about the Form 3. And so, at least for those few months, I didn't go back to anybody, but yeah.
So that was one of the things. The other thing, it appears as though they are, or have, consolidated or merged the Section 8 conflict of interest with another section on the rules of conduct, or the code of conduct. And now the two are intermingled in one section, so I haven't been able to find that amalgamated section online yet to read it, but I was advised they have been put together. And so I just wanted to make sure that, since I sit on the council, I want to make sure that the council is complying with the legislation. And I guess as a follow-up comment, I did read the email sent out today on the study that the government's undertaking. Renee Legacy did a press release on it. Hopefully he and I will be in Bathurst the same day sometime in the next 2 or 3 weeks, and I'll try to get his innermost thoughts on it. But
yeah, and just because I've sent so many out in the last few days, it's been lots. I'm assuming that's the one in the Regional Service Commission.
yeah,
Yeah, and if I remember, they wanted, earlier we had this discussion and every councillor could put in their own thoughts, but I think now they want council to provide input as a group. And so that's on our registers as a follow-up next week. I think there is a timeline on it. I don't think it's imminent.
End of November.
Yeah,
End of November.
imminent enough, I guess. But we can go back and have a discussion. At the time when you're given the ability to reply individually, we said we don't need a copy, which we don't. But now it's time to get together and maybe, probably what wouldn't hurt if people wanted to send in thoughts to the clerk, whether it's those letters or anything, at least we could consolidate and see what people thought. We don't even have to put people's names on them, just to say, here's kind of what some councillors, so 3 people agreed on A, 2 people agreed on B, and here's 5 items that was brought up individually. It doesn't have to be done, it just would facilitate discussion, in my opinion, that we'd have something to work on together instead of starting off from scratch. Do you agree, Mr. McKinnon? Yeah.
yeah. Because I looked at the list that Renee put out, and it's not a lot of rosy information there. It's pretty bleak, and I just think it's something that we're going to have to spend the time on, and whether we have it or not. And I guess the other thing we talked about conflicts of interest. The only course of action was, if we had a serious concern, was contact the RCMP. Well, that's always an alternative, but I think as the legislation reads and as the commission is set up, that there is a procedure whereby the issue is brought up at council. If it's not a satisfactory conclusion, then the commission lists under its 8 or 9 functions, mandates, that investigations related to codes of conduct and conflict of interest is the 4th or 5th one on the list. So it's just trying to get a feel for that we are, we're doing things according to oil, as the old expression goes, and that we are complying with the legislation as best we can. So that's all I really wanted to bring up, and we have the financial instability in the country and in the world, and I think if we work hard at making sure we do everything right, we'll get through it a little better.
Thank you, Councillor Ware. Anything else for new business? No? Okay, moving right along. We are at question period. Is there anything online?
Nope, no guests online and no emails came in.
Okay, and there's nobody in the audience, so we don't have to worry. Councillor and Deputy Mayor's comments. Councillor Heenan.
Yes, Your Worship, I have a little list. It won't take me long to rattle through it.
Okay.
First off, I would like to acknowledge the fact that we're seeing more of a police presence in town. Every day, there's not a day goes by, and I really want to thank the RCMP for their additional patrol of our community. Secondly, I'd like to applaud Your Worship and the town staff on the newsletter. I do hope that people will take the time to read it, because there's very important information in there in regards to the town. As Mr. Spears said, that's available at the town office if you did not get one in your mailbox. Am I correct, Mr. Spear?
Yeah, and if people are watching too, look at the recycle bin at the post office.
Yes, you can
Some
always
people
get
throw
some
them in
there.
there. They try to salvage them and put them on the table, but
Yeah.
we certainly will have extra copies at Town Hall for anyone who doesn't get one in their mail.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The other thing is just a special shout out to our rec manager. I would like to say thank you for the jobs that he's doing within our community. We are getting personal letters of thanks and his approach to everything. And I think Merv needs a special thank you at this time. The lamp posts downtown could not have Remembrance Day without them. I would like to say a big thank you to the crafters who do these, and to our town staff, as I diligently saw them putting it up this morning, doing a very respectful and nice job of decorating the poles in the downtown area for Remembrance Day. This is really special. It makes the town special. One thing, I'm going to read a little line from Mr. Spear's report that I find very disturbing, actually. And it says, there has been, unfortunately, been a tremendous upswing in elected official abuse over the last few years. Within New Brunswick, several councillors and mayors have resigned their posts, indicating that as one of the reasons. It really is very disturbing to me that we are living in a time when bullying becomes appropriate to town councillors and to mayors, and that we are not able to enjoy our town sometimes because of this. I find the abusers themselves must be very proud of themselves. I really am. Like, I've been anti-bullying for my whole life, so I don't take any personal to this, but I just find it that if you've got people who are trying to do a job for the people, for their contingent, for the people that they elected them, and that they're taking it out on them, I just find it absolutely appalling. And I believe that every counselor, when they take their oath, do the best job to their ability. And I find that that the abuse is not part of that oath, and it should never exist in a municipality. Thank you, Your Worship.
You're welcome. Thank you, Councillor Heenan. Any other councillor? Councillor Weir.
First thing was the amended financial statements. Has the auditors or in the province decided what they're going to do with the error?
So, because it's PSAB statements, all that's getting amended is a schedule, and the body of the financial statements aren't changing. So they sent me a new copy, and so the first few pages you approved are still there. But I was going to bring it up to council next week if you'd like, just for formality's sake, reapprove the amended. It's, the province was okay with us not doing it. They said it's up to council. So they've all been corrected, but it's just on the reconciliation of note 20 was where it was changed. Or note 18, one of them.
Thank you very much. And my other comment was on the harassment, whatever you want to call it. I think we are elected officials. As much as I hate to admit it, we are politicians. And we have to accept a certain amount of disagreement, passionate disagreement, and it's a fine line between passionate disagreement and harassment. And I think it took me several months before I would admit to myself that I was a politician. And still don't like to think I am. But I have had, some pretty passionate comments, expletives deleted and the whole thing. But I'm just thick-skinned about it. I just smile, stay polite, and carry on. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Weir. Deputy Mayor? Nothing? Councillor Bennett? Okay? You're okay? Thank you. And it's Mayor's comments. So I have a few. Well, I think Councillor Heenan blew my things, but this week we've been working on Mayor for a Day and Fire Chief for a Day. So I want to thank the Fire Department because the Fire Chief and I got together and with our staff and we arranged this Mayor for a Day, and we got in lots of entries for Mayor for a Day and for Fire Chief for a Day. The Fire Chief said he covered his pool table. We don't have a pool table. I don't even have a table. So I covered the resource room, or whatever you want to call it, boardroom at the council chamber, at the town office, and mine was all covered, and I picked out the ones I thought, and then I asked other people to assist me, and so we picked out, and I couldn't come to a decision of not allowing 2 mayors this year, so we decided we'd have a mayor and a deputy mayor. So we have Mayor Sally Sorensen in grade 5, and Deputy Mayor Layla, sorry if I pronounce it, Layla, thank you, Layla Schmitz, grade 1, she's the deputy mayor. And then for Fire Chief, we had Eva Henderson for grade 2. They produced pictures for the younger one. For the older ones, they wrote why they wanted to be mayor for the day. And Sally really structured her letter to be what she wanted for the community, what she wanted for her school, and what she wanted for her friends. So it was really a nicely structured letter. The other letter that I read that was quite humorous is the past mayor's son's, Tristan Henderson. He wrote and said, if I elected him, he'd be the handsome mayor, handsome Henderson mayor. So I thought that was quite humorous, and he had a few other comments to say that he would do things a little differently and that he was the better Henderson to have as mayor. So anyway, we picked these three, and on Thursday this week at 9 o'clock, I will be picking up the three students and taking them to the fire hall and to council chambers. We will have a tour of the fire hall at 9 a.m. And at 10 a.m., we hope CHCO-TV will interview with the acting mayor, Akaji, and the students as part of Your Town Matters. And then 11 o'clock, we are going to have a mock council meeting. So any of you councilors that would like to join us to do the mock council meeting, that would be wonderful. We have opted out of giving them lunch because we did this on a short notice thing. I think we were even thinking of not doing it when I got, all the calls and all the meetings with students who said, "You're not doing there for a day?" So we had to reassess, and we decided we would have it. Then the mayor, we will return the students by noontime. They have received from Subway, which I'd like to thank the manager and the owner for giving us gift certificates for Subway, which allows them a sub, dessert, and chips and a drink. So thank you very much for supporting our mayor for the day, and thank you, town, because you're going to support with Timbits and or cookies and what was the other thing? Oh, and juice boxes. We'll have to do juice boxes for all the students at VMES. And then the fire truck will return at 3 o'clock with Sparky and pick up the winner of the fire chief for a day and ride that person home in the fire truck. So that will be our fire chief, mayor for the day, with the deputy mayor being, say it again, Layla Schmitz. So we will be doing that with Eva Henderson. So I want to thank everybody who helped do that day, especially the staff for helping me get the things out and for their input into what we're doing. So we'll be doing that, as I say, on this Thursday at 9 a.m. and we'll be here by 11. The other thing, I'm still collecting bags for the food bank. I just took in 2 huge bags to the food bank and they were so happy. But Christmas is coming on and they need these bags for carrying all the heavy stuff that will be coming in, turkeys and whatnot. So please continue to donate your bags to the food bank. Drop them off at the town office. Tell them that they're for the mayor, or the acting mayor, that she's becoming the bag lady for food bank. And then they gave me this letter of thanks that I'd like to read, because I know we get not very few, but we get a few letters of thanks. And this one is to, as you said, the recreation director and his staff, Abby and Amanda. I was getting there. I just couldn't remember Abby's last name. But Maxfield and then Amanda Harrington. They have worked cooperatively and together for the Recreation Council. I know they've helped me out on a few things that I've done. So a very big thank you for the newish position of our recreation director, Mervyn Hanselpecker. He has made a lovely, positive difference to our community, and this is signed by Sylvia Humphreys. And it says, P.S. the town monthly newsletters are excellent as well. So that's kind of a nice statement to get. Thank you. And yes, Councillor Weir?
Yes, on the mayor for a day, I think Councillor Bennett and I attended the mock council meeting.
So you're going to join us on Thursday?
And I would highly recommend anybody that can make it. To make it, we had our first mayor from Bayside, so it was, I think, a great experience for the children. They did do a motion. We approved $200 donation to the IWK, and I think gave them an insight into
I think
what goes on here.
it'll be well, I had done one a long time ago, but this time, this will be my first one as acting mayor. So I know that when I went to the school, they were so excited about having the mayor for a day and fire chief for a day, because we had said we weren't going to do it, and there were a lot of students that were upset. I don't know if they got to you, Councillor Gomichelle, but they certainly got to me to ask that we do it this year. So it's an important feature that I think we would do. And I also, the RCMP was there that day because it happened to be Halloween when we did pick the students and go up there. And so RCMP, Sergeant Henderson was there, also because his daughter was one of the recipients of the fire chief for the day. And he said maybe next year we could add on there RCMP for a day, chief for the day. So maybe it'll be expanding. Thank you. But for right now, that's what we have for Thursday. So I thank you for allowing me to do that, Council. Yes.
Just one other thing, when you were talking about the food banks, it did bring to my attention that I've been talking to at least Eastern Charlotte Food Bank and the St. Stephen, I've heard the same thing, is that the usage is just going through the roof right now.
Yes.
And so, not that I usually push any specific organizations, but this time of year, the food banks have drives and stuff. They're really in desperate need of them. As we know, the Canadian economy, as Councillor Weir put out, is starting to go through. I know there's been some layoffs in the seasonal industries.
Yeah.
Doesn't affect St. Andrews as much, but
It does affect a
there's
lot.
been some of our neighboring communities have had unemployment rates go up higher than we've had. So, yeah, it should be good to consider those groups this year too, not just in the bags, but they may need some financial assistance or whatever else you can do.
Well, and
to help.
Campobello was doing a Chase the Ace
Yeah.
fundraiser for the food banks. So
And
if
I
our
should-
food banks are interested, they could join as well.
Yeah.
But you could buy a ticket through Campobello, so.
And not to forget the open door food program here
Yes.
in St. Andrews, very important. They have a different model where it's gift cards, but still vitally important, and there's still lots of people in St. Andrews that also need that assistance, so it's right across.
And a lot of people
Right
donate
across the
too, so-
county, or frankly, right across the country, that there's a lot of,
Yeah.
so when you're out considering extra gifts, maybe there's one extra you can make in this holiday season. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Spear. So that is all I have to say, and thank you. So we'll, do we have a closed session tonight? No closed session, yippee. So we're now at the point where we can adjourn. Deputy Mayor Neal, and a seconder? Councillor Heenan. All in favor? Counter reminded? Better not be. Carried, and we're done at 2 minutes after 9, 8 o'clock, 2 minutes after 8. Thank you very much, council. Have a great week.